Today's talk is around Hercules AI. We are an organization that helps enterprises transform complex workflows by providing AI co-pilots and workers to support data-heavy tasks that organizations have to solve. In terms of our core focus, it's looking at manual processing and how we can help organizations reduce their costs and reduce the risk that they face through this processing. A typical scenario where we will work with a customer, and obviously if there are any carriers or carrier here, you'll notice that the main operational processes that cause challenges are ones that go across multiple steps and multiple departments. Typically those are processes where there's a huge amount of data and it's the high volume of that outpaces the ability to hire and for those workers to then subsequently be able to manage that flow of information. And also typically the processes that we look at and support are ones that are provided by subject matter experts, which are often costly assets to the business. One example is a number of clients we work with in the reinsurance space, they will have underwriters and actuaries doing data transformation, and reports from McKinsey identified that 24% of an underwriter's time is spent doing low-value tasks, which basically means data wrangling, administration, and that takes an individual's time away from the potentially profitable and also risk management element of their job. In terms of Hercules' deployment, we work with a number of large insurers, both carriers, reinsurers, and also brokers. And we've worked across a number of use cases in those industries. We typically focus on engaging with the line of business owner. So these are some of the cases where we've worked with. Our main examples we're going to show today are around health census data processing and also bordereau transformation. These are not exclusive, but we find that organizations that tend to engage with us will start with one use case, identify the value there, and then expand that across their ecosystem. In terms of where we start, we typically join an organization that comes to us with this kind of problem. This may be across multiple departments, it may be across multiple different entities. So in the insurance world, we will often find that Department 2 is not a department, but it's a third-party administrator, or it will perhaps be a central clearing system organization that they have to engage with. All of these have multiple different systems, multiple different types of information that they're pulling in, and multiple different levels of skill in the workforce at different points in that process. What we aim to do is bring AI to those organizations to help level up those skill levels so that every individual is operating at the same capacity and by supporting those workers. In terms of how we aim to simplify that workflow, we have three components to our solution. We have AI agents that purely operate on an extraction basis, identifying key information within structured and unstructured data. We have agents that will transform data into a very simple set of schema or build rules based on the intelligence pulled out of that data set, and will then allow you to verify that data and deliver documentation to customers, deliver the solution or requirements out to third-party systems. How we do that in the technical piece, and before anybody from Tiger Labs starts asking me difficult questions, I am not the tech brains of the operation, I am purely the face of it. We start with a layer that prepares data. A common response we get from customers is, my data's rubbish. It's in a horrible format, I might have handwriting on there. So the tool will take the data, collect it, label it, and classify it using AI. And then it will create an observability layer over that to allow our users to see that first layer of cleaned up data in a standard format so they can understand whether there are any inconsistencies and challenges. The next piece, which is the secret sauce, as we would term it, is the cognitive components of the solution. As I mentioned, we have three parts. There's an extraction piece. All of these use proprietary small, medium, and large language models to do very specific tasks. So the extraction understands contracts, it understands legal documentation, it's able to process in multiple languages, and will purely be focused on pulling out key facts, initially that it understands, and then those that it's guided by human-in-the-loop feedback. Transformation component, similarly, will look at schema and will then convert using either natural language instructions or complex calculations into a standardized format. This is the piece that's most commonly used by our bordereau customers. The third piece is the verification, where we bring the other parts together. So comparing structured data with rules that have been identified by the AI in unstructured information. So for example, comparing a data set with a document that's got an agreement within it, or comparing products with suitability criteria from a regulator. This is where we've identified the specialization can support the worker the most. These are not general large language models. These are very specific. So a common question we ask is, how is it different to ChatGPT? I can't ask this whether Taylor Swift sells more records than Beyonce, but similarly, if I ask it to identify the covered policy areas within a binder agreement, it will pull that out instantly. In terms of above that, we then have integration layer that allows us to push this data into and out of other systems. And then over the top of that is the full agentic system. So users can then identify specific different tasks that they want the AI workers to work alongside on. And also, in addition to that, can provide an analysis and reporting through into business intelligence systems that the corporate uses. As some of you may have heard earlier in the conversation, we began our life as a services provider to legal firms. But over the course of the last 5 years, we've added what we would term enterprise clients, but in organizations such as Mercer, Coinbase, and S&P. And we've seen a significant growth in the number of clients, putting us now at a touch over 45. One particular use case I want to focus on, and this is going to be a very quick one, given I want to show a video afterwards. So if anybody would like to have a follow-up on this, I will be over in the booth later on. We have a broker that saved over $800,000 in human capital costs, and that was human capital that was offshored, so not expensive human capital in high-cost jurisdictions. They were taking HR exports from corporate clients and were then providing a number of different policy options to identify the most appropriate for them, all of which took a lot of manual data wrangling in multiple different systems. They utilized us to extract their information, standardize it, and then verify against the policies to see which was the most appropriate for the organizations. In terms of, they have yet to quantify what the value is from new sales or new business acquisition, but what they have said that we reduced the processing time by 87.5%. So that sped up their ability to respond, but also allowed them to redeploy that headcount into more cost-effective areas. What I'd like to show next is a quick video of the solution in action, and I can happily go into more depth at the stand on that. This is an example where we are extracting information from binder agreements, transforming a bordereau, and then verifying the contents of the bordereau against the binder. So, as you can see here, our extraction component identifies the key points that it needs to pull out of the agreement. We always operate with a human in the loop so that the human can validate entities that may have what we call a low confidence level and course correct it. That feedback loop then goes back to the AI models that sit within the customer's premises and enables it to learn from that constant feedback. What they're then able to do is take that extracted data and put it into a standardized format. With the transformation process, the AI will clean, standardize, and then transform data that comes in a tabular format. So this can be combining multiple spreadsheets or multiple bordereau files from Cedants. It can be transforming any type of data that comes in a structured format. You can use natural languages to define transformation results, so you don't need data scientists or experts within Excel. And then from the verification piece, the tool pulls out specific rules that it's identified based on the terms within the contracts, and it will then, in a human language, explain what that rule means and then apply it to the overall binder agreement, enabling organizations to have more of a QA function in their data review rather than having to review every single cell within a file. And this tool is deployed by organizations purely in their environment, so there's no risk of data that is customer specific or potentially PII going out of their system. I'm conscious I have 5 seconds, so I'm not going to throw the box around, But if anybody would like to have any questions, please feel free to come to booth 7 and discuss what we might be able to provide.